All right, once again, here with Hayes Carlyon, our Jags beat reporter for 1010XL and 92.5 FM, and also part of the Frank Franchi show that you hear every weekday from 3 to 6 or 7, depends on the day. Today will be 6 o'clock for Thursday because we have Jaguars Thursday from 6 to 7. And Hayes, it was day 2 of OTAs. And big news, Jalen Ramsey was here finally.
Thank you, Jalen, for gracing us with your presence. Yeah, it was good to see Jalen Ramsey back. I mean, again, we've talked on the show about, he's arguably the best player that they have, at least from last year. Now, maybe Calais Campbell, AJ Boye, we haven't seen them yet as Jaguars, but at least the guys that are back from last season, you can make a case Jalen Ramsey's the most talented of them all. And it was a little bit of a concern when he missed the first OTA on Tuesday. Doug Marrone said, look, I haven't heard from him. He had some stuff last week, but not really sure why he wasn't here today. It is voluntary, and I understand that, but you want to have your best defensive player out there as often as you can. So it was good to see Jalen get back out there today. He put something out on social media letting everybody know that he didn't really appreciate the criticism for it, which was pretty interesting. But yeah, if he just missed one day and he's back now, that's great news for the Jaguars, and certainly I think all will be forgiven.
All right, so Jalen Ramsey is here, and of course it was day 2, like you mentioned earlier. What are some of the other things that you noticed today with day 2 of OTAs for the Jaguars?
Sure. Well, a lot of it is going to be who participated. So Telvin Smith was back, and that was one that Doug Marrone had excused because on Tuesday he was there in the morning and then left before the practice started. But Telvin was back on the field looking good. Dwayne Smoot, the third-round defensive end out of Illinois, missed on Tuesday because of an injury, was back in the lineup today. That was good to see. But you still see, AJ Boye, Aaron Colvin, those guys aren't ready to get back in there yet, TJ Yeldon. So still a lot of guys out. But at least some guys were coming back, which is good to see. So again, we're only out there for 25 minutes, so you're not seeing a ton of specific team stuff. We'll be able to give you a much more detailed report on Friday because the entire thing is going to be open to the media. But I tell you, Smoot looks good. Frank's talked about him, and you can sort of see why this is a guy that may have had that top 10 billing a year ago prior to a senior year that maybe wasn't up to the par that people expected. But he looks good out there, and if Smoot can come on, with Ngakoue, Fowler, Calais Campbell, that defensive end rotation starts to look really, really good.
All right, and then finally, of course, the new news. Well, official news, I guess you could say. We kind of had an idea that this was going to be announced earlier in the week, but it was announced officially today that the Jaguars will have a joint practice as well with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they are in town. So that's 2 times they're going to have joint practices, and you actually put up an article on this on 1010XL.com saying that this is going to be a pretty eventful preseason now for the Jags.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and the veterans don't really like it, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone probably don't really care about that. But think about this, in an 11-day stretch, they will have 4 joint practices, 2 with New England, as you mentioned, and 2 with the Buccaneers, and the 2 exhibition games. Just an 11-day span. That's 6 different, practices / games against an opponent. And I do think that makes a difference. This is an administration that's come in and said we need to be more physical. The intensity level needs to be raised. And I think that's a good way to do it. And they're going to have a rock-solid idea of where they stand going into that 3rd preseason game against Carolina, which is sort of the big reveal of who you're going to be once the regular season begins. So I really do like the moves, and it is going to definitely spice things up early on in the preseason for the Jaguars.
He is Hayes Carlyon. You hear him every day on the Frank Franchi show from 3 to 7. 3 to 6 today because of Jags Thursday from 6 to 7, and he's also our beat reporter for 1010XL.com covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hayes, thanks for your time as always.
Thank you, guys.